What's up, Seahawks fans? Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button because if Pete Carroll leaves, we're going to be breaking it all down. We might even go live. Who knows? It might be that type of video. So hit that sub button, turn on those notifications because I don't want you to miss it. Coming up here on today's show, we're going to be breaking down some of the top head coach candidates just in case Pete Carroll decides to leave. Now, I get it. He's really getting up there in age. He's the oldest head coach right now in the National Football League, despite the fact that he acts like one of the youngest. So what you guys are going to be seeing here on today's video is I'm going to be breaking down the top 10 head coaches that could take over for the Seahawks if Carroll leaves. Now, for those of you that maybe aren't a loyal watcher, subscribe or have those noties on, and you probably don't know that there's been a lot of rumors around the possibility of Carroll potentially leaving because that's just kind of where we're at right now. So this is a team that they were in all-in, win-now type of mode, and they don't have any first-round picks this year. They don't have a first-round pick next year. They've invested a lot in trying to win now around Russell Wilson. Well, what happens if Wilson decides that he wants to go ahead and that he wants to leave? ESPN's Dan Graziano said that he doesn't expect a major coaching change, but what happens if what happens if Pete Carroll just decides that enough's enough, and I don't see this team moving in the right direction, which I know is probably frustrating for the 12s out there, considering the fact of entering this year, everybody thought that this team was going to be in the playoffs, and for them to not be in the playoffs is definitely a kick in the gut a little bit. Now, when you really consider the last 5 years for Carroll, 2017, they missed the playoffs, 2018, lost in the wild card round, 11-5 in 2019, lost in the divisional round. 2020 was 12-4, and then 2021, you're 6-10, and now you're totally out of the playoff race. I get it. They won the Super Bowl back in 2014, and the fact that they won one so early with a young Russell Wilson, if I would have told you back in 2014 that y'all would have only won one Super Bowl, now, sure, if you would have just handed the ball off to Marshawn Lynch on the 1-yard line, I get it. It's a totally different conversation. But it's still an idea of the fact that they only had one Super Bowl win back in 2014 with Wilson is definitely a reason to maybe just be, a little bit of upset. Now, what do we do here at Chat Sports? News, rumors, we break it all down for you, and usually Megan's the one that's talking to y'all, but I decided, hey, I wanted to hop in and I wanted to get in on this. So type Y for yes or type N for no. Will Pete Carroll be the Seahawks head coach in 2022? And you know what? I like this question a lot, and I'm hoping every single person that comes across this video goes ahead down in the comments and lets me know. Y for yes and for no. So now we're going to get into some of these head coaching replacements if Carroll does decide to end up leaving. Now, I'm going to go 10 and work my way all the way down to 1. So 10 is the guy who I think would be the 10th best. 1 is the guy who I think would be the best. Coming in here at number 10, I'm going to go Matt Eberflus, defensive coordinator out of Indianapolis. If you look at the Colts roster, they don't really have any of these guys. You're like, wow, they are super talented. But what for Eberflus has been able to do there in Indy, he's going to be on a lot of guys' radar. Coming in here at number 9, it's Jim Harbaugh. Now, I don't think Harbaugh goes to the Seattle Seahawks. However, he finally was able to take care of business, beating Ohio State. He won the Big Ten. And a guy like Colin Cowherd said that Harbaugh would be the number 1 head coach candidate if he decided to leave Michigan. For that reason alone, why would you not maybe just pick up the phone and say, hey, Jim, you want to come on over here, get a hire? You had some pretty good success with the 49ers before. So let's hear it from you. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. If Pete Carroll isn't back, who do you want to replace him? It's literally the reason why I made this video. So while you're getting hit with that YouTube ad break, I want you to scroll on down. Let me know who do you want to replace Carroll if he does leave. Coming in here now at number 8 on my Carroll replacements video, it's Gus Bradley, defensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, Bradley has done a terrific job with the Raiders this season. Last season, the Raiders allowed 6,225 total yards, most in franchise history. This year, they're 13th in total yards. That's a pretty good adjustment, right? But also, Bradley has some experience with the Seahawks, and I can remember the old Bradley defenses, the Legion of Boom. We're talking about Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, Bam Bam back there laying the wood. That's the type of defense that I want to see back on this team. 2009, 26th, 25th, 7th in 2011, and then in 2012, number 1 in terms of points per game. Last time I checked, that's pretty darn good. So Gus Bradley is number 8. Let's go now to number 7. I'm going to go Byron Leftwich. And if you're looking for an offensive-minded dude that's not afraid to throw the rock around, it's Leftwich. He's worked with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's now working with Bruce Arians, too. That guy loves to throw the football around the field. And you guys know that Arians has had a lot of time with the Arizona Cardinals. I like Leftwich a lot, but there is a part of me that wonders if they go with the defensive-minded guy. Let's go another DC. It's Todd Bowles, who is actually working with Byron Leftwich right now. I know a lot of y'all are like, well, Bowles was terrible with the New York Jets. You know, a lot of people are pretty bad with the New York Jets recently, so I'm not really going to put that on Bowles, but I do wonder if this is the type of guy who's built more to be a DC, more to build like a coordinator, and not so much of a head coach. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my top 5 in just a second, but I can't wait any longer. I got a hell of a deal going on right now. If you guys want to bet on the Seahawks final game, if you want to bet on the NFL playoffs, what about some NBA, college football, Alabama, Georgia, that's coming up. You can go ahead and do so by going to the link that y'all see below. It's chatsports.com/bet. But if you don't use this promo code, you're not going to get the 125% deposit bonus. So imagine a world where you can get $100, or you put down $100, excuse me, you get $125 for free to bet with. You can actually be a big baller. You can put down $500, get $625 for free to bet with. All you got to do, chatsports.com/bet, promo code Seahawks125. Gets you 125% deposit bonus. You're welcome. Let's go to my top 5 now. Carroll replacements if he does decide to leave. I'm going to go with another offensive-minded guy here, Eric Bieniemy. And I actually thought that Bieniemy and another guy coming up here were probably the top 2 head coach candidates last season, and yet they're still on their team. Now, he's been in the head coaching mix for a few years. He's had some great success with Kansas City, with Patrick Mahomes. My only thing that kind of, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. He definitely has some baggage from his past, but he definitely is a well-respected coach amongst other coaches, amongst players. The only thing, though, I'll also pump my brakes on is Andy Reid's the guy that calls plays there, and they have a guy named Patrick Mahomes. So how good is Eric Bieniemy? It's only going to be a matter of time until we find out. Now, as you see, you're going to see a lot of OCs. You're going to see some DCs. But when you think about these coaches, some of them are offensive-minded, and some of them are defensive-minded. So what kind of coach would you prefer for the Seattle Seahawks? I want you to go ahead and type O for offensive-minded guy, type D for defensive-minded guy. You're going to see a lot of different types of coaches come in and out here. O for offensive, D for defensive. So Bieniemy, he's offensive-minded guy. Coming up next is another offensive-minded coach, and right now currently the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, and it's Kellen Moore. If you're trying to stay away from old, right, Pete Carroll's over 66 years old, and you want to go with somebody new, Kellen Moore might be the newest, youngest, bright-minded head coach, and everyone out there is going to be looking for the next Sean McVay. How can I find the next Sean McVay? Well, it might be Kellen Moore. Now, he's a Washington native, great offensive-minded guy, and right now the Dallas Cowboys offense is clicking, I would say, on all cylinders. And if you want to try to bring somebody in who could be that next young dude who could totally bring in a new offensive scheme, totally change up a lot of things, because if you're sick and tired of watching what Schottenheimer was trying to do, if you're sick and tired of the vanilla style of offense that Seattle has had in recent years, Moore's a pretty interesting guy. I mean, back in 2019, the Cowboys, 6th in NFL points per game. Last season in 2020, they didn't have Dak Prescott. And then this season, 29.9 points per game, first in the NFL. I know some of y'all are really excited about this new offense. You might not have Russell Wilson, but if you do lose Russ and you want an offensive-minded guy, Kellen Moore's your dude. So if you're looking for nonstop Seahawks news, rumors, draft content, free agency, we're the channel for you. We don't go away once the season's over. Like, I can guarantee you this. You're still going to get free agency stuff. You're going to get draft content. And if Pete Carroll decides to go, we're going to go ahead and break it down. So remember earlier on in the video when I was like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Here's another reminder, because I don't know about you, if my mom or my dad tell me something, good chance I might forget it. Life's busy, right? So seriously, hit the subscribe button and turn on those notifications. So now it's time to get into our top 3 candidates. And this guy, I'm really, really starting to like what I see out of Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator out of Green Bay. No matter where this guy's gone, he's had some success. And sure, there's going to be people out there like, he's the offensive coordinator of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. How hard could it be? I don't really disagree with that statement, but I do disagree with the idea that people think that Hackett couldn't be a good head coach, because I really, truly believe that he can be. He's got almost 20 years in coaching, and he's been a part of some of really, really good offenses. And all I want you guys to do is go ahead and look on Wikipedia or wherever you find some of your content and look at some of the places that Hackett has coached. He has had some success in a lot of very difficult situations. Maybe the most impressive, This guy made Blake Bortles look good. If you can make Blake Bortles look good all the way back in 2016 in that offense, I'm pretty confident you could do a lot of good things in the National Football League. Let's go to number 2 here on my list of Carroll replacements if he decides to go. Here's a defensive-minded guy, Dan Quinn. And again, when I go back and I think of a lot of those great Legion of Boom style of defenses, I think of Dan Quinn. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's been a part of some great defenses. And when you really look at the fact that Quinn led the Seahawks team to a Super Bowl in 2013, he also reached the Super Bowl as a Falcons head coach. His aggressive defense loves takeaways, and I know a lot of y'all out there want an aggressive defense back here in Seattle. Now, he was a little bit up and down at times in Atlanta of recent. Now he's really been able to turn around that Dallas Cowboys defense, and they've been doing a pretty damn good job. I mean, look at Quinn's DC stints, right? 2013, first in the NFL. 2014, first in the NFL in points per game. And now this season with the Cowboys. If you want a defensive-minded coach, I really believe the top candidate in Seattle should end up being Dan Quinn. But number 1 on my list here, if you want an offensive-minded guy, because I don't know about y'all, I really think the NFL is transcending in an offensive-minded way, or it's been an offensive-minded route. I'm going to go with Brian Daboll, offensive coordinator for Buffalo. There's a real gut feeling in me that Russell Wilson will no longer be the starting quarterback of Seattle, which means you got to be able to bring in somebody who's had some success being able to find a good quarterback. Now, I went on record at saying that I didn't think Josh Allen was going to be a good NFL quarterback, and Brian Daboll did a phenomenal job being able to get Allen better. I mean, look at the amount of progression that Allen has made from year 1, year 2, and now into year 3. And also, I like the idea that he's coached underneath a guy named Bill Belichick. Maybe you've heard of him. And he's coached underneath a guy named Nick Saban. I am a big fan of Belichick and Saban disciples. Now, sure, some of those guys have struggled, but when you add all the pieces into this mix, potentially finding a new quarterback, finding somebody who's come from good coaching tree, I like Brian Daboll, especially because he's also an offensive-minded guy. So maybe you were taking a siesta. Maybe you weren't paying attention. I don't know. Maybe your dog was barking like my dog loves to decide to do when I come home. And maybe you missed my top 10 candidates for Pete Carroll if he decides to go. Eberflus, Jim Harbaugh, Gus Bradley, Byron Leftwich, Todd Bowles, and then my top 5. Eric Bieniemy from the Kansas City Chiefs, Kellen Moore from the Cowboys, Nathaniel Hackett from the Packers, Dan Quinn, a familiar face, and then Brian Daboll. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people in this world. Breaking news. I know, it's shocking. Which name did I forget? Did I just leave somebody off the list? You're like, I can't believe this guy who I've never seen before left this name off the list. I'm going to be looking down in the comments for 2 reasons. 1, means you care. 2, means you watch all the way until the end of the video. So which name did I leave off my Pete Carroll replacement video?